Figured I'd jump up here today and talk just for a little bit. Okay. Who am I? Hell, I'm a guy that spent most of my life, like anybody else, growing up, except for I was a kid that didn't like sports when I was a child. Didn't like sports, never did. Never got into baseball or basketball or anything like that. Just didn't like sports. So what did I do as a child when I didn't like sports? I got into tearing things apart. That's what I like to do. Tear things apart, see what made it work, and put it back together and make it work again. And that's what I used to do as a kid. That was my thing. And then I went out and collected bikes and collected bike parts and started rebuilding bikes and worked on lawn mowers, tore the motor apart, put it back together again, made sure it worked again. That was what I did when I was a kid. I even played around with electricity. And I'm not dead, so I must have done something okay. But that's been my life. And then I found myself somebody who actually paid attention overall to what was going around me, but not until I got older. This is one thing I've discovered for people who actually wake up to what's going on in society. It seems like you've got to be older, and you're older in age for the majority of this before you notice it. And just typical, isn't it? Sure is. But overall, I spent my life caring because even before I was awake, I always cared about everybody. I always did. I went out of my way when I was younger just to help people because I had the skill or the know-how, and I went out of my way to help them because I could. That's me. I've always done this, and my payment was always a smile on their face for what I was able to do for them. That's all that mattered to me, really, and that's who I am, okay? And I only want what's right. When I get people, sometimes it's not easy doing what I do, especially when I'm speaking out on dating scene and men and women and people's behaviors and things in that area. Because people can misunderstand things so easily and not understand me. When it comes to things like when I've talked about, this gender issue, what the mainstream media and Hollywood and social conditioning, the programmers have done to us. What the names of the people, the elite, the people at the top, the family bloodlines is responsible for causing all these behaviors in our society have done to us. It's absolutely awful. It really is. It's terrible. And it's not easy doing what I'm doing, and it's not easy for anybody to change their own selves because first they have to recognize their behavior, and then they have to recognize it's actually wrong, and then they have to be willing to want to change themselves. And that's not an easy pill to do for anybody neither. It really isn't. Okay? But I noticed and I watched the corruption in our society and the division, and I watched the thing that goes on and the double standards and how they divided the genders so bad and how we're all victims of this and how one gender in a one way seems to be hit worse than the other gender. But then at the same time, when you look over at the other gender, they have been hit just as hard, but in different ways, okay, than the opposite gender. So, when it comes to females, they've been victimized just as hard as men have, but in different areas of their lives in different ways than what we've done to men. But the one thing I have noticed is the double standards seem to all be directed towards men. Okay? You have a few that are directed towards women, but the majority is definitely directed towards men. Okay? And the other thing I've noticed is, this is a funny one too. You got so many men out here that totally hate gay people. And they hate the gays, they hate the gays, they hate the gays. And then if somebody comes along that's gay, that's a woman, and this man who hates gay people with a passion accepts that woman and don't hate her. But then next to her stands a gay man and he's bashing out. He's ready to beat the hell out of that guy. But he's not going to touch her because he likes her. He respects her. It's okay for her to be gay because we have a double standard. It's insanity. It really is. And when you really look around you, what you see is men. That's why I've told you in videos, they're smashing themselves in the head with hammers. They're busy attacking one another, smashing each other to the ground. And most of the time, it's for the validation of a female that they do this. It's a very psychotic, sick behavior. You don't find women smashing themselves to the ground for the validation of a man. Matter of fact, women seem to stand together, and they seem to stand together a whole lot better than what men do. Oh yeah, no lie. Fact. Men are too busy throwing each other under the bus, either for a position on a job or to impress some dame. And they really just don't care. And when I look at the whole picture over and on of the corruption in our society, you discover that the tool, money, okay, and power, the ability to be in control, to control somebody else, okay, is our two biggest epidemics. And that starts at the very lowest level. Because you can have the flat, broke, poor family from the ghettos. And I've seen it, how it works. And it's not one gender. It's not even a gender issue. I've seen women who are very dominant, controlling, and want everything their way or the highway. And if the guy don't listen, that's it. It's over. Get out of here. Fuck you. Blah, blah, blah. Excuse my language. And I've seen men do the very same thing. So it's not a gender issue because I've seen both sides of it. And I've watched and I recognize what's going on. And then when you get people in positions of power, that's not from the lower end, our end, it's, that's why if people ask me who's controlling your family, I tell them nobody. We run around naked. And they think, huh? And that's because that is one of our biggest problems, one of our biggest issues, is people wanting to control other people. And these people doing this, I like to call them control freaks myself. And I've witnessed and seen all through my life control freaks, control freak after control freak after control freak in our society that are nobodies like myself. And it's in both genders. It's not a gender issue. It's affecting both genders equally there. It really is. The one thing that isn't equal when it comes to the genders and the bashing is you don't see no female bashing going on. No. In the media, anyhow. You don't find female bashing in Hollywood, in the media, in this and in that. It's not that females don't get bashed, because they do. It's just the majority is centered to men. The man's the idiot, the man's the stupid one, the man's the dumb one. The man's exposable. Okay? The man's the one that seems to be getting the majority abuse here. And so many women, they come along and they watch the video where I compared what happened to these guys, like with Morena Bobbitt and the other gal, who sliced off her husband's you-know-what and dropped her in the garbage disposal. And then the 5 women who got up on national TV and laughed and hipped and hooray and had a fun, good time with it. And I asked people in that video, how would you handle it, or how would you feel if this had been the other way around? And they totally get upset or misunderstand me or think, oh, I'm so awful because I'm talking about this, but no, you don't. For the women who don't really understand why I'm talking about this is because how would you feel to the women out there if something horrifically and horrible as some sick screwball would do that to a woman, and then 5 sick idiots would get up on national TV and turn it into a mockery, a joke, and an entertainment, a fun, a sport, an arena, a game, a challenge? You know how you would feel. You'd be horrified. You'd be so angry. And you know what? You would have a right to be too. You really would. Because it's so wrong. But yet, when it happened in everybody's face and it was a man, we didn't have them reactions, did we? Why not? Did you ask yourself that? Why not? Why wasn't you horrified? Why wasn't you pissed off and irate, regardless of what your gender was? Can you honestly answer that question? See, that right there shows that we have a big problem going on. A big problem. Not a little one. Okay, and this is why I say what I say. And I show people what I show people. And I tell people what I tell people. Because I only want what's right for everybody, men and women alike. I don't want no guy abusing a woman, and I don't want no woman abusing a man. I don't want nobody abusing nobody. I want us to learn how to grow up and get along. You don't have to agree with somebody. Their opinion may not be your opinion, but you don't have a right to slam their opinion. You don't have a right to slam them or do whatever over their own opinion. Because if you're going to strip them of their opinion, then they have a right to strip you of your opinion. It's no different than freedom of speech. If you're going to tell somebody else they can't have the freedom to speak up, then you don't have a right to speak up yourself. No, you're not above somebody else. You're not better than somebody else. And no, this is not a game. We're not one-upping each other here because this is not a game. This is dead serious and this is real. You know, over the years, as I observed what was going on, and I researched and I studied and I spoke out and I watched, because that's what I do. That's what I do. I sit back and I watch and I observe, and I don't open my mouth. I stay quiet. And I think about what I'm seeing, and I process it, and I think, and I process it, and sometimes I'll process it 4 or 5 times, and 6 times, and 10 times, and 12 times, and you say, why would I do all that? Because I'm looking for a solution for it. And when I came up with the decision a long time ago that, now of course I'm a nobody, and this will never happen in a million years, okay? I already know this. But when I look at governments and I look at fascism, socialism, communism, a democracy, you know, and I look at the different political arenas and governments, our rulers, our controllers, so-called controllers, our entities, our puppets, okay, at the top, I observe all these different systems, and I observe the controversy and slamming, and what do we get? We got these type of systems running us, and for hundreds and hundreds of years, they keep running us, and nobody ever thinks of something new. You keep going back to the same systems that keep failing you over and over and over. And I don't like using the word equality because equality is a word that's been abused, manipulated, twisted, taken out of context. Really has. And when it comes to equality, it's been overused. It's been abused. The word itself has been skewed, manipulated, twisted, and used for evil doings. When I say equal, it's just what it is, equal. And what made me ever think that the monetary system and the job places, the two places I would use that? Because of power and greed and corruption and watching behaviors and behavior patterns that go along with this. Has nothing to do with NWO, and even if you say NWO is in this, overall, when you look at the picture, New World Order, NWO, or you look at communism, or you look at anything in society, it has its goods and its bads, and most of them have more bads than goods. But if you cherry pick out the good things about this and the cherry good things about that, and disregard and get rid of the rest, then you'd be sitting there with what? Maybe create a new system. I never ever meant that equal would mean that we would dress the same, act the same, look the same, have to have the same house, same car, same this, same that. No. That would be somebody taking, when I say equal, and adding to it, making their own agenda out of it. Okay? And that's not where I was going with that at all. I stopped at the monetary system and the workplace. And I deliberately stopped and didn't go any further than them two areas with Eagle. Because that is the heart of our corruption. See, in reality, if I had my way, I would do away with all governments. I would make the monetary system equal, along with the jobs, equal, because in doing so, I done away with the puppets, the criminals, so they have no say-so in any of this. They would be taken completely out of the equation, and their income would be now based on the same income everybody else's, bringing them out of power, out of position. Wouldn't matter who they was. If you're the Jews, the whatever behind the scenes is controlling the government, you're now in the same boat as everybody else. You become powerless. You become at the same playing level that everybody else is. Bringing a stop to all the corruption. Of course, I can't do that, because I'm a nobody. And all it is an opinion and an idea. That's all it is. Okay? Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. It has nothing to do with corruption. Matter of fact, it's the exact opposite of that. Because that is the one thing I know. If it ever happened, would take the people who are speaking about the powers to be out of position. Okay, that's really what this, because that's where I come from with that, okay? I don't know anything else that would remove them from position personally. I allow people to have their own opinions about stuff, and I don't care. I only care because we have a society now where people don't know how to handle that. Maybe they're looking through a narrower lens than me. Maybe their belief system is structured differently than me. Okay, that's fine and dandy. I don't care about that. I only care about that when I get criticized, cut down, and knocked down and attacked for having my own opinion. Okay, because then I care about that. Because you don't have a right to do that. when you have your own opinion. Because you wouldn't want me doing that to you upon your opinion. Because I don't agree with you or you don't agree with me. It's not, and what we believe or what we feel or think has nothing to do with this. It doesn't give you permission to call names, to say evil, wrong things, and do wrong unto others. Because you don't agree with their opinion. That's where I come from with this. And I've witnessed this so many times. You know, the majority of people can't stay friends, or the majority of people that break up is because they never grew up. They failed to grow up. What did I say about the epic failure of mankind? The ability to grow the hell up. Because somebody don't think with your brain doesn't mean they're wrong. Individuality. Being equal would never, ever, ever, ever take individuality away. That's not something that can be undone, concealed, or hidden. Okay? It don't work that way. It never has, it never will. That's the great thing about being individuals. We have our own opinions, our own feelings about things. Learning how to allow somebody their own opinion without getting angry. Maybe some people have to do that, okay? You know, but I also, at the same time, when I speak up in videos, when I do what I do, I mean what I say. I don't come up on video online and I don't tell anybody to do it. It's just something I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Never will I do that. I will never come up on a video and manipulate you or twist you or lie to you or try to steer you a direction I want you to go based on my own agenda. Because in doing that, I would be no better than the people that have done that to us. I have now lowered myself to their level, and I refuse to do that. No, it's not about that. Okay? And I'm not about to do that, ever, ever. Okay? And I won't do it. I refuse to. Because you cannot come up here and tell everybody how honest you are and what kind of a truther you are, and then do something that's manipulation, deceiving people for your own agenda. To steer people a direction you want them to go, or make them think something the way you want it thought of. You introduce a problem and you let them process it. And they feel the way they feel about it. And then you have to accept that. It's the way it goes. You can't do anything other than that without becoming part of the corruption yourself. And that is the way I feel about that. You know, it's no different than Sandy Hook Facts wants to take the lie that was fed to the world and bring that back to the official story. And all the work that was done to prove it was all a big psyop and a lie. They want that disregarded, thrown away, exposed of, garbage, gone, history, over with. Okay? And for you to believe the lie. It's no different than 9/11. For you to believe the lie. And if you're up here speaking out and you have an opinion about something, somebody else says something different, and they go out of their way to manipulate, to deceive, because they don't agree with your opinion, to steer other people's thought frame to their thought frame, then they're no better than Sandy Hook Facts. They really ain't. They're no better. They got the same issue going on. You know, this is not about hating anybody, because I don't hate people. I forgive people all the time, but I will stand up for myself. You will only attack me one or two times, okay, before I attack back. And if you don't like my opinion about something, that's your prerogative. But don't come up and do something to manipulate people and send people a different direction on something that's my opinion. Because you disagree with my opinion and you want to steer people a different direction so that you can look all so smart and intelligent and try to make me look all stupid and dumb. Because that's how I feel about that, over my opinion. Don't manipulate and twist people into thinking something that's not so. Take pictures or whatever and edit it and put in what you want and steer them a direction for your own agenda. When you know that you're doing that, and you know that you're not being honest, and you know that you're deceiving people, and you don't care. Because if you do that, you're not a truther. You're actually part of the problem. And I'm not going to call names on any of this stuff because I'm not mad at nobody. I just want honesty. That's all I want. And I know that's a hard pill for people nowadays. It really is. And if you're speaking up for everybody and you want to be equal, see, I want equal. I don't want equality. I want equal, because equality has been skewed, misled, and abused. I only want equal, because equal will stop the division of the genders. Equal would bring a dead stop to the powers to be. Okay, that's the way I feel. And powers to be don't want us equal, because if they wanted us equal, they wouldn't have spent the years that they've spent dividing us. Because that's the opposite of equal. I see nothing's changed as far as people wanting to be equal. I see people become irate and mad. Not everybody, of course. When you talk about we need to be equal, they get irate about it. They get mad about it. That's a sign of somebody who clearly don't want things to be equal. Maybe they want to have some God status. Maybe they think that they should be in charge. Maybe they think they're better or smarter or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know what they think. But I'll tell you what. If the word equal, or me wanting to have things equal, so that we can bring genders back together, so that we can stop corruption, because it would. If that offends you, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. There's nothing I can do for you. Change the channel. Okay, that's all I can say. And that applies to everybody across the board, because I've talked about being equal before. I've been doing videos for a long time. It's not the first time I've talked about this topic. But once again, I'll go back and say it again. Remember, I'm a nobody. I ain't got the power to make this happen. If I had the power, I guess I'd have a lot of enemies, wouldn't I? I'd probably have a lot of friends and a lot of enemies, right? That's somebody gunning to kill me, right? Because they had to have their power over the top of somebody else. It's pathetic as far as I'm concerned, okay? But that's where I come from, okay? And this is where I've always come from. I only want what's right for everybody. I don't hate women. I don't hate men. I hate corruption. I hate people who shit on other people for no reason at all. I hate people that want to take other people's opinions from them, or their right to their own opinion away from them. Because people who do that don't have a right to their own opinions. Because they're not some magical God. Doesn't matter what your gender is. Everybody has an opinion and they have a right to that opinion. The same with free speech. Everybody has a right to say what they feel, as long as you're not abusing other people. You can say what you feel without abusing other people. Okay? If you have to abuse other people or say things that you know is wrong, and you can't control that behavior, then you're part of the problem. Because I think the hardest thing for everybody is to realize on an individual basis, we have to recognize right from wrong. We have to recognize the programming, and we have to pay attention to our own behaviors, what we say to other people, so that we can catch our own selves when we're doing wrong based out of programming. And then we have to be able to catch ourselves doing it, and we have to be able to work on our own selves to change that and want to change that. And there's going to be nothing easy about doing that at all. We're going to fall off the ladder or fall off the wagon a few times along the way trying to change ourselves. That's normal. Okay? Can't expect it not to happen that way. And that's only for those who really want to do that. But that's the only way. It's the only way we can straighten up this world. It has to start on an individual basis. And until that happens, nothing's going to change. Nothing. It's just going to escalate, which that's exactly what it's been doing. And it's just going to get worse. And we can't keep going back to the same old systems that's never worked. Regardless of its democracy or, regardless of its, the communist or socialism or fascism, it doesn't matter what the society is or what your political arena is, because you're talking about people that are controlling other people. We have to come up with constructive ideas and create a new system, something new. And it's like anything else. The system has to have all pieces in place to run. And the only reason things ain't fair for people, and so many people are left out, left to starve on the streets, are abused and walked and stepped on and thrown under a bus, is for somebody else's selfishness. And the only reason that's happening is because we've allowed that to happen. And that's what I'm out to change. But sometimes I feel like I'm alone in this battle. I really do. I know I'm not, but I do feel that way. Because so many people don't want change. They want more for themselves, and that's it. Sad, isn't it?